Hola, 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 everybody. It is Jessie Feliz here with Jessie Feliz Travel. You may also know me from Jessie Feliz Plus. Follow me on Instagram or Spanish Swag because you know we got to learn to speak con las personas que hablan español en casa. So I wanted to just briefly share this concept of the big bien. Maybe you have heard of this in a different way. Maybe you know of it as being the big bien. But I wanted to share with you what it is, how thankfully it did not impact me, but how it was projected upon me. So as I've shared before, yo era estudiante de intercambio. I was an exchange student in el año 2005. In 2005, lived in Costa Rica. I attended, asistí a la Universidad de Ritas in San Jose, in Zapote. Had an amazing experience. I lived with una familia tica, with a Costa Rican family, and that was a keystone in my international bilingual trajectory. So fast forward, I taught in Baltimore por 6 años, came back to Costa Rica, moved back in 2013, in 2013, in Noviembre. And I never forget, I didn't move to the Caribbean side. Many people know that I lived in El Caribe Sur de Costa Rica, in Puerto Viejo de Limon, for the majority of my time living abroad. But for like menos de 2 meses, less than 2 months, because be mindful of how people advertise their homes. Okay. I had found a listing, communicated back and forth with this woman. I will not say her origin because I'm not trying to hate on all the people from that place, but I peeped game. She was from North America. I'll say that. And advertised her place. But when we got there, yeah, pictures could do great things, but it was mold. The roof was leaking. I mean, they said they had did a fresh coat of paint. That was fue mentira. That was a lie, because whoever the previous renters were, they had some type of long haired dog, because hair was like everywhere against the walls. And then reaching back out to that individual, it just was like a really bad experience. And honestly, I feel like I got played, being, de los Estados Unidos. And even though I was an exchange student, when I lived there in 2005, I was in a program. I was placed in with a host family. This was me navigating, just finding a listing online, going back and forth, making my own comparisons, not knowing, how it is to actually live abroad. This was that first experience. Well, and never again am I going to do that like that. Okay. But anyway, you live and you learn. So apart from the conflicts that we found with the house that we were renting and paying way too much money for, by the way, and going back and forth with the owner trying to get that remedied, our neighbors, who were American citizens, invited us over and welcomed us. And it was like, okay, we were not of the same cultural background, but we shared nationalities as being estadounidense or American. Again, be mindful when you say soy americano or soy americana, because technically this side of the planet is called Las Americas, right? You may be from America del Norte, North America, Centro America, or America Central, or Suroamerica, America del Sur, or El Caribe. So be mindful. The appropriate phrase is to say soy estadounidense. That means I'm a U.S. citizen, right? Because it's not really fair to say soy americano in Spanish. In English, we say, oh, I'm American. That makes sense for us here, but just be mindful when you're speaking. That's the woke in the swag. Consciously be aware of what you're saying, because it's not only your words, it's what your words imply, right? Mindfulness when it comes to speaking different languages. Well, these fellow American citizens invited us over. They were very cordial. I believe one of them had an issue with some alcoholism, because it was like a little bit too crunk. I didn't feel comfortable consuming any alcohol with them, because I felt uncomfortable based on their own situation. But what I do remember is they were like, "You ready for the big bien?" I could hear his voice. And I was like, bien? I'm like, in Spanish, like bien? Like, no, the bien. And I'm like, what is the bien? Are you ready for the big break-in? And I was like, huh? I was still trying to put together, oh, B, the letter B for break. And then you're saying in, not the letter in, but I-N, like in here, inside. And I was like, what are you talking about? They said, oh, we've been here for many years, and every American that comes here, they rent this house or that house, and there's always a big break-in, the big B-in. But be ready. Just be ready. So I'm like, what in the world? I didn't know this was something that is like a rites of passage. I'm like, what's going on? Well, fast forward, like a little fast forward, because I told you we only stayed in this place for less than 2 months. There were 2 instances, and this was a small town in Costa Rica on the Pacific side. It was not like our neighbors we were spread out, and we kind of were a little remote from even the town that we lived in. We didn't have a car, cuadriciclo, moto. We hadn't even purchased our bicicleta yet at the time because we just got there. And I was about to start tutoring, which I did in English. And so, again, it was a whole lot of interesting things going on. But there was definitely one instance where someone came to the door. I think we had sheets up at first because we didn't have like cortinas. We were just trying to figure stuff out. Someone did knock on the door, and I'm a friendly person, so I answered the door. And I did notice the person said, hey, regálame un vaso de agua. Like, can I have some water? And so I offered the man some water. I noticed the individual was doing this the whole time, looking in through my door, trying to peep through the windows. And he literally took not even a full sip. It was a quick sip and threw the rest out. I'm thinking, dang, that's my bottled water that I just poured out for you. And so that definitely did make me feel a certain thing. But, everyone has different belief systems. I believe in the Most High God. And so I also was taught you're supposed to bless and ask for a blessing for your house. And I believe in that. And anywhere I live, I wipe down the door frames and the window frames. I ask God to bless the oil that I'm using. Forgive me of mis pecados. Don't say pescados. Pescados means fish, right? Pecados, sins. Asking him to forgive me, perdóname por mis pecados, and all those things. And I felt safe, even though I had been given this message of the great being, and this man knocked on my door and was looking. I mean, that doesn't mean I wasn't on alert mode, but I didn't feel afraid. That same time, again, I was there for less than 2 months. That same time, I also remember we went to the beach, and someone kind of like walked up on us. And I guess the thing was, one, where we resided, there weren't many morenitos, people of color. I never, ever, ever had any of these type of situations in El Caribe, in the Caribbean. Never. I just didn't. I never, ever had anyone come up to me. Now, that's not to say stuff don't happen, but my 3 years living on the Caribbean side, I never had that situation. Also, it was a small town, so people relatively knew each other. For those people who I communicated with, gracias a Dios, I never had that situation. So thankful. But I also remember a time when we were like on the beach. And again, on this side, you don't have morenitos. You don't have afroamericanitos or personas de herencia africana, not in this town. So we definitely stood out. But when they approached us, and then I started speaking Spanish, that's why, y'all, you got to know that swag. I think we were received differently than what we were perceived as. So all of us to say it was part of a learning experience, and nothing happened. There was no big BN break-in where I was residing, and we would have continued. Actually, I started tutoring these little chiquitos, and their mother was so disappointed when I said we were moving to the Caribbean. I mean, she was really upset because her kids were learning English, and that's what I came there. Part of what I came there to do, establish my school. But the Most High knows. Él sabe los planes que Él tiene para nuestras vidas, no? So, I do remember that, and I said I'm going to be coming on here sharing different experience that I've had there. But I'm still thankful for that experience. But at the same time, I'm actually so thankful that the house was not living up to the expectations as advertised. Remember this concept, there's perception and then reception, right? And so I'm so very thankful, because if that house had lived up to what I thought it was, if everything had worked out in that original location according to my plan. Oh, again, the issue with the laundry and the dryer and the whole situation, also coming there, most of my clothes end up getting like moldified. So I end up throwing away so much more than what I had expected to do. And then because of that happening, it led me to Puerto Viejo de Limon, where when I was a student in 05, an exchange student, I visited Puerto like uno dos veces, but I hadn't lived there. So if it had worked out the way I wanted it to, I would have never had the opportunity to live, at least how it happened, in El Caribe. And so I'm forever thankful for that. Forever, ever, 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 ever. Bien agradecida. I would never want to change it. That's why you have to be mindful. Hay un frase, hay un dicho en español, en maravilla. No hay mal que por bien no venga. No hay mal que por bien no venga. And I like to translate and remix and flip the script so it sounds natural to me. And that means ain't nothing bad that don't bring good. It ain't anything bad. Ain't nothing bad that don't bring good. Absolutely nothing bad that happens that doesn't it like exempt it from being horrible or ishy or ugly or like a really bad encounter or circumstance. No one is saying that. But ain't nothing bad that happens that don't bring good. So you learn to be like, you know what? I can be thankful even when like ishy things happens. That doesn't mean I'm like, oh, jolly, I'm so happy that you tried to hustle me. No, but I know it's all a part of the journey. And so I'm super duper excited and thankful to keep sharing nuggets here and there of me experiencia viviendo afuera, living abroad. And check out jessiefeliztravel.com. Check it out, y'all, because I'm going back to Costa Rica, y San Miguel de Allende de Mexico. So many amazing experiences. One in Julio, in July of 2023. Del 8 al 15, from the 8th to 15th of July, we will be in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. Y we're going to El Caribe Sur in Costa Rica in August of 2023 from el ¿cuál es la fecha? 21st through the 28th of Agosto. So super duper excited. Check out jessiefeliz.com. Always send me messages. Look for me online, Jessie Feliz Travel, Jessie Feliz Plus, because you're always going to get a little bit more with me than what you think you're going to get. And let's just continue to learn, laugh, grow together as we grow in this amazing, beautiful, diverse world that we live in. Ciao.